Today, two men spoke to the world for the first time since this war began 13 days ago. But the strange part is this. One appeared on camera and the other still hasn't shown his face. One spoke directly, confidently, claiming victory, while the other delivered his message from the shadows. And the question now troubling Washington, Tel Aviv, and the oil markets is simple. Which of these two men is actually winning? The first man appeared on a Zoom call from an undisclosed location in Israel. His face looked tense, his voice fast, and he kept repeating one word again and again, crushing. He said Iran is being crushed. He said Israel is stronger than ever. He said the new Supreme Leader of Iran is nothing more than a puppet who cannot even show his face in public. Then he said something even more important. He told the Iranian people that the future of their country was now in their own hands. He said regime change was possible. And he told them Israel was standing by their side as that moment approached. The man speaking was Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's Prime Minister. It was his first public press conference since February 28th, 13 days into what may be the most consequential war in the Middle East since 2003. But the real mystery of this story is the second man. Because the second man did not appear on camera at all. His message was read by a news anchor on Iranian state television. His photograph appeared on screen, but the voice delivering the message was not his own. And the reason for that absence is what makes this story far more dangerous. On February 28th, American and Israeli bombs struck the compound where he lived. In that attack, his father was killed, his mother was killed, his wife was killed, and his son was also killed. Reports say he himself was wounded in the strike. And since that day, he has disappeared from public view, hidden somewhere unknown to even the world's most advanced intelligence agencies. That man is Mojtaba Khamenei, 56 years old. And only 4 days ago, he became the new Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Today, he spoke to his country and to the world for the very first time. And what he said may have just erased the last remaining hope in Washington that this war would end quickly. Many expected his first statement to contain compromise. Some expected him to open a door for negotiations. Others believed the pressure of war might force Iran to step back. None of that happened. Instead, his message began with a warning. He said every martyr will be avenged. He said every Iranian citizen killed by the enemy is a case for vengeance. Then he said something that immediately shook global markets. He declared that the Strait of Hormuz will remain closed. And he insisted that blocking the strait must continue as a strategic weapon. Then the warning became even more direct. He said all American military bases in the region must close immediately. And if they do not close, they will be attacked. But the message did not stop there. He said Iran is already studying ways to open new military fronts in areas where the enemy has little experience. And if the war continues, those fronts will be activated. Then came another statement that raised the stakes even higher. After the war ends, Iran will demand compensation from America and Israel. Compensation for every death, for every destroyed building, and for every barrel of oil that could not pass through Hormuz. If compensation is refused, Iran will seize American assets. And if that is not possible, Iran will destroy American property equal in value. That is not the language of a collapsing regime. That is not the language of a puppet. That is the language of a man who just watched his entire family die in a bombing, and instead of surrendering, he chose revenge. Netanyahu said this man cannot show his face because he is weak. But there may be another explanation. He cannot show his face because Israel has already promised to kill him. Israel killed the last Supreme Leader, and they will almost certainly try to kill this one as well. So Mojtaba Khamenei is hiding, not because he is powerless, but because he is being hunted. And from wherever he is, hiding wounded, his family buried, his home reduced to rubble. He issued a statement today that changed the political equation of this war, because the original plan in Washington was very different. The CIA and Mossad strategy was based on a specific theory. The theory was simple. Kill the Supreme Leader, and the entire Iranian system loses its center of gravity. The IRGC would fracture, the population would rise up, the regime would collapse from the inside. But when the bombs actually fell, the reality was very different. Yes, some Iranians celebrated, but the IRGC did not fracture, the government did not collapse. And within hours, Iranian missiles began launching. The same people who had protested against their own government before the war did not rise up once their country came under foreign bombing. Because nationalism in wartime behaves very differently from protest politics in peacetime. Netanyahu admitted something important today, even if he did not mean to. He said, regime change now depends on the Iranian people themselves. That statement reveals something critical. It suggests the military campaign may already have reached its limits, and beyond those limits lies something far less predictable, political uprising. But so far, that uprising has not appeared. Meanwhile, another crisis is quietly expanding beyond the battlefield. Oil prices have already surged toward $120 per barrel. The Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through that narrow waterway, which means this war is no longer just a Middle Eastern conflict. It is becoming a global economic shock. American soldiers have already been killed in Kuwait and Jordan. Gasoline prices in the United States have risen sharply, and the White House is now under enormous pressure to find a way out. Washington needs a formula to end the war without calling it a defeat. But Mojtaba Khamenei's statement made that formula harder to find, because his central demand is impossible for any American president to accept publicly. He wants the complete withdrawal of American forces from the region. Accepting that would be described as the largest strategic retreat since Vietnam. Netanyahu understands this perfectly. That is why his press conference today focused on victory, strength, and crushing success, because politically he must appear determined to continue the war. If America withdraws, Netanyahu can say Israel was betrayed. If America stays and the war drags on, he can say America was not committed enough. Politically, Netanyahu may survive either outcome. Strategically, however, the situation is far more complicated. The missile interceptors protecting Israeli skies are already being resupplied from South Korean stockpiles, and every interceptor used tonight in Israel is one fewer available for the next potential war elsewhere. The war Netanyahu waited 40 years for is now consuming resources meant for future conflicts. Meanwhile, somewhere underground, far from satellites and intelligence agencies, a wounded 56-year-old man is planning the next moves of this war. And one small detail from today's events reveals just how serious this has become. The missiles Iran launched today were named Labaik Khamenei, not after the previous leader, after the new one. That means the IRGC has already accepted its new center of gravity. The system did not collapse. It simply replaced its leader, and the new leader may be even more dangerous than the last. According to the United Nations, 3.2 million Iranians have already been displaced by the bombing. More than 300 people have been killed, including at least 194 children. And the response from the new Supreme Leader remains unchanged. We will avenge every martyr. We will keep the strait closed, and we will open new fronts if necessary. Netanyahu once said he had been waiting 40 years for this war. Now he finally has it. But the outcome may not be the one anyone expected. The plan was regime change. The regime did change. Yet the new leader is younger, angrier, and with every personal reason to keep fighting. Netanyahu called him a puppet. Today, the puppet spoke. The strait is still closed, the missiles are still flying. And somewhere underground, the man being hunted is planning the next fronts of this war. Fronts the enemy may not even see coming. If you want to understand what's really happening behind this war, the hidden strategies, the global power moves, and the decisions shaping the future, make sure you subscribe to Market Mindset right now. Because this conflict isn't just another headline. It's a turning point that could reshape the Middle East and the global economy. If you found this breakdown valuable, like the video, share it with others and tell us in the comments what you think happens next in this war. Your support helps us bring you deeper analysis and the stories the mainstream media often misses.